Hello everyone. This video is part of a series where we are implementing a microservices-based social media application. We are using NodeJS for our back-end services and React for our front-end. And our main goal here is to learn the microservices pattern. Here is an overview of the tasks we are currently working on, as well as our plan for the near future. Of course, there is more than this, but here is just a brief overview of what we will be working on next. In this second screen, I provide a more detailed breakdown of each of the tasks involved in each area. So if you want to pause the video and have a look by yourself, then feel free to do so. We also have a Jira Board where we implement or where we track the progress of the tasks as we implement them. So we use user stories and subtasks, and you will see me coming here often to update the board as we progress with the functionality. In the previous video, we have implemented the pre-save hook, which enforces that the token must be unique whenever we are creating an email verification token. So for this video, I want to go back to the signup route, and I want to start implementing the tests and the functionality for testing the email verification token once a user signs up to our application. So here I'll describe this as being that it tests creating the email verification token on signup. Right, this is going to be a normal function, doesn't need to be async. What needs to be async is the function that is inside. So here we will need a test which is going to say it should create an account verification entity on successful signup. Right? So if we successfully sign up to the application, if the information is valid, then we should have an account verification entity created in the database. And we should also be able to retrieve this entity based on the user ID. So first and foremost, what we need here is a valid user information. We will add this within the current test. So I will simply write user information, or let's say new user here. And this is going to be a request. We are going to send a request to our application. We will send a post request to our signup route, and we will send some information here within the body. I'll just put this to new lines so that we can better see the formatting, right? So just it's easier to understand. And here with the send, we will send an email, which has to be test at, doesn't have to be, it just needs to be valid, right? So an email and a password that also needs to be valid 123, for example. Here is a typo, sorry for that. Password. And then I would expect here a 201, right? This is really, we don't need to add this if we don't want to, because this is already being tested in the upper tests, but it doesn't hurt, right? So we will just write that we expect a 201 here. And then we would also be able, or we should be able, to retrieve the account verification based on the user information that we receive back. So I will await account verification.find1, and here I will pass the conditions that need to be fulfilled. And in this case, the user ID must be equal to our new user, or yeah, this is not the best name. This is actually the response. So I will write response here because otherwise it would be new user.body._id or .id, and I don't like that. So I'll just write response.body.id, right? Because if you remember, if we go back to the signup route, we actually don't send this as a _ID. If I enter our user signed up quote unquote event, and in the serialize method, we return an ID and an email, right? So there is no _ID here. So here I will look at the response.body.id, and I would expect the account verification .not to be null, right? So there is a very easy, or there is a very important, there is a big issue here with, not a big issue, but it may be the case that you will incur this if you're not very careful with the conditions here. Let me remove this expect and I'll just start my tests. So npm run test :watch, and of course this will pass because there are no conditions being checked in here. But I want to show you a very interesting behavior. It's not unexpected because of the nature of null, but it's something that we may run into problems. So if I say expect account verification to be defined, right? With the current state of our application, we are not creating the account verification document in the database. We don't have this code in the signup route. If I come back here to the signup route, there is no code whatsoever that creates this account verification document. So this test here should fail. But as you will see, it will pass. Give it a couple of seconds and everything seems to be passing. And why is it so? Well, the problem is, as I already gave a hint, is with the notion of null. Right? So null is considered, so null is different than undefined. And so this case here is true. So null is always, or at least with a strict check like this, if you remove it like so, then probably it will match, but this is not a good practice. But null is considered to be different than undefined, and whenever a variable has a value of null, that variable is considered to be defined. So the account verification is considered to be defined. The only problem is that its value is null because of the return value of find1. As you can see here, if I just hover over the account verification, because of type inference, TypeScript is able to say that the value of this variable is going to be of type account verification document or of type null. So here, what I need to do is a small update. So the previous one that I have written, I would expect account verification not to be null. And I will save this, and now the tests should start to fail because I need to implement the logic. Exactly, so now we have a failing test. So let's go back to our signup route and let's change this a little bit so that we can implement the functionality. So here I will define a new user, right? Just for the sake of clarity, I think that defining a new user of type user document is useful. If we see that it's not necessary, we will just remove this from here. So now I have my new user. I want to assign this new user here. And as you can see, all this code, if anything fails in here that is not related to user.create, so if for some reason I have some bug in here that causes this code to fail, in the end, I will throw a duplicated email error. Now, we were aware of this when we implemented this the first time, but we said we would come back to this later on. And that's the moment when we come back to this. The idea is that I don't want to send a duplicated email every time I have a bug or every time my code fails after the user is created. I want to throw a duplicated email only from within the user.create, right? So here, oops, that's coming to the actual definition. Let's come to the user model here, and we will see that I have a check for the pre-save and for the pre-update hooks, that if I have a duplicated email, I'm going to throw a new duplicated email error. Now, if I remove this try catch block from here, let's see what happens with my tests. I'm just curious. I didn't try this myself, but I'm just curious. Let's see if things are passing or if all the tests will start to break. If all the tests start to break, then we should go back, but no, they don't start to break, right? Because the fact here is that if I am throwing an error, so let me show you the previous setup. I'll just do some Ctrl+Z's here. Now I have my try and catch statement again. If I run this try catch statement from within my signup route, this means that whatever error that is thrown, I think that's how you pronounce it, is thrown within this block of code is going to be caught by this try catch statement or this try catch block, and it will be transformed, not transformed, but it will be discarded, and we will throw a new duplicated email error. That's not what we want to do, right? So what we want to do is whatever error that is thrown within this block, I want this error to pass through to my error handler middleware. I have this error handler middleware here, which is going to then be called whenever there is an error in my route, and then this one is going to handle the error. I don't want to have error handling within my route. If there is any very, very specific logic, for example, if I try to create an entity and I know that if that fails, I want to populate that variable with some specific value before I continue the execution of my code, then it's fine to use the try catch statement. But in this case, the try catch statement is not adding a lot of value to us. It's just good enough if we simply remove it, because now whatever error is thrown by any of this code here, by whatever statement or function or method in this block of code, is going to be passed down to my error handler, and that's definitely what we want, right? So this is much cleaner implementation, and I don't create an unnecessary abstraction around my errors. So let's continue here. We have a let new user, which is of type user document, and I think that we could even use this immediately. So maybe we just say const new user, like so. And if there is a problem here, then everything should break and we would not continue in the execution of this body. We throw the error and we go to the error handler middleware. But here I then I create my new user, and I will then also create my email verification token. Right, and this is going to be generate email verification token, like so. Then I want to await the account verification .create method, to which I will pass my user ID as being the new user ._ID and my email verification token. And now I can continue with the execution of the user signed up method and the email sender. I believe that everything is correct here. Okay, yeah, now the error went away. So now, as you can see, we have the new user, which is created. We then generate and if this process here fails, if this part fails, then nothing is going to continue. I'll just throw the error and immediately advance to my next step, which is going to be the error handler middleware. But if this passes, then I create an email verification token. I wait for the account verification to create a new document with my user ID and my email verification token. And also I have then the user signed up event, and I get the instance of the email sender and send a sign up verification email. Okay, now if I save this code, then our tests should start to pass. Exactly, now everything is passing. So I think that's it for this video. If you are interested in getting updates about new videos whenever they are out, I try to update, or I try to upload videos, at least 2 videos per day, 7 days a week. may be the case that now with Christmas and New Year I skip 1 or 2 days, but I try to be consistent. And if you want to get updates, then make sure to subscribe to the channel. I'm pretty sure that you will like the content that's coming up. We are very close to implementing some real Kubernetes things and start discussing some real Kubernetes problems, not problems, but configuration, right? So some of the challenges that Kubernetes helps to solve. So I'm pretty sure you are going to enjoy the videos that are coming up. And also, if you're interested in any development topic that is related, it's even remotely related with Node.js, JavaScript, TypeScript, React, it can also be related with design patterns, database design, API design. We'll talk a lot about API design in the future. If you're interested in any topics in this area, in the area of machine learning, of data science, of artificial intelligence, make sure to write down in the comments, because I'm also very interested in all these topics, and then I can get a better idea of which topics I should work on the most based on your suggestions, because then I can think about new series, I can think about new standalone videos or more extensive courses to make it available to you. And also, if you haven't noticed yet, I add always to the description of the videos the GitHub repository link and the specific link to every video, or the specific link to the commit of every video, right? So you can see what was changed in the code. There may be a few differences, so small differences, because after every video I just run those commands of prettier and linting. So I may change a few things around, but it's the core is the same. Right? So if you have any problems with your code, you can definitely check the commit and see where the differences are. Great. So thank you for your time, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.